Get out of my house, you slut!
Please!
To save her husband from losing his job, she slept with his manager, but when he found out, he threw her out forever. It's a story that will tear at your heart and make you question how far love should go when life hits rock bottom. Meet Eric Bennett, a hard-working man from Newark who gave everything to provide for his family. Until one dark day, the company he worked for announced mass layoffs. His name was on the list. Bills piled up, rent overdue. His mother's hospital calls wouldn't stop, and the walls of his marriage began to crack. Then there's Vanessa, his beautiful and devoted wife, who watched helplessly as her husband's world started to crumble. But when desperation met temptation, a shocking offer changed everything. An offer from Eric's boss, Mr. Caldwell, who'd secretly desired her for months. One night, one decision. To save the man she loved, she crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. But when the truth came out, love turned into hatred, and the home they built together shattered forever. Stay with me, because what happened next will leave you speechless and remind you that some sacrifices come with a price no heart can ever afford. It was supposed to be a normal Thursday in Newark. Eric Bennett came home from the manufacturing plant still in his Navy work shirt, tie loosened, shoulders heavy. He didn't even get inside before he saw it. The red paper taped to the apartment door, final rent notice. He pulled it down fast so no neighbor would see. Rent was already 2 months behind. The medical bill from his mother's heart condition was still unpaid. The bank kept calling about the personal loan. Child support from his first marriage, also due. Everything felt like a noose. Inside, Vanessa was at the small dining table with unopened envelopes spread around like a crime scene. She was beautiful in that way that made people stare at the grocery store without trying not to. But tonight her eyes had that cold shine. "Did you talk to payroll?" she asked quietly. Eric swallowed. "They're doing cuts." Her hand froze. "Cuts as in? They're laying people off. Whole department." She stared at him. For a moment, she didn't breathe. Then she said what she had been holding back for weeks. "Eric, if you lose this job, we're finished. Do you understand me? We are finished." Friday morning felt colder than usual. Eric arrived at the factory early, coffee trembling in his hand. Whispers filled the break room like smoke. No one dared to say it outright, but everyone knew what was happening. The company had printed the retrenchment list. When the HR secretary walked in holding a brown envelope, all eyes turned. "The names will be posted in an hour," she said softly before hurrying away. Eric's friend, Martin, clapped him on the back. "Don't worry, bro. You've been here 8 years. They'll keep you." Eric forced a weak smile, but his gut twisted. The factory was cutting more than half of their staff, and his department was the first target. By noon, the list was pinned to the notice board. People crowded around, some weeping, others cursing under their breath. Eric walked up slowly, heart pounding. His eyes scanned the names, and there it was, Eric Bennett. Terminated. He stood frozen, ears ringing, the world spinning. By the time he got home, he didn't have to say a word. Vanessa saw it in his eyes. Her lips trembled, then she whispered, "No. No. Eric, you can't lose this job. Not now." That night, she didn't sleep. Something dark began to stir in her mind. Monday morning, Vanessa showed up at her husband's office unannounced. She'd worn her best navy dress, the one Eric bought her on their 5th anniversary, back when laughter still lived in their home. She waited outside the manager's office until Mr. Caldwell, Eric's boss, arrived. He was a tall man in his mid-40s, always smelling of expensive cologne and quiet authority. He had admired Vanessa from afar during company events, his eyes lingering too long. "Mrs. Bennett," he said with a faint smile. "Didn't expect to see you here." Vanessa's voice trembled. "Please, sir. Eric's been on that layoff list. He's loyal, hardworking. If there's anything you can do, anything, please don't let him go." Mr. Caldwell leaned back, his expression unreadable. "You're asking for a favor. Favors come with prices." She frowned. "I don't understand." He lowered his tone. "I've wanted you for a long time, Vanessa. You know that. Have dinner with me tonight, and your husband's job stays." Her heart stopped. She stood up, eyes wide. That's disgusting. But when she got home that night and saw Eric sitting silently on the couch, staring at their eviction notice. Tears filled her eyes. By midnight, she was still awake, shaking, haunted by one question. What would I give to save him? Rain poured over Newark that night, drowning the city's noise in a constant whisper. Vanessa sat alone in the dark, clutching her phone. Mr. Caldwell's message glowed on the screen. Midtown Plaza Hotel. Room 704. One night, and Eric keeps his job. Eric was asleep in the bedroom, one arm over his eyes, exhausted from days of worry. She looked at him, at the man who once promised her the world, and now looked like a man drowning in it. His cracked hands, his thinning hair, the quiet sighs in his sleep. God, help me, she whispered. The clock struck 10 p.m. She picked up her coat and left. At the hotel, she hesitated outside room 704, her body trembling. The hallway smelled of perfume and regret. She raised her hand to knock, but stopped when she saw her reflection in the polished door. This isn't love, she told herself. This is survival. Then she knocked. Hours later, she came home and went straight to the shower, scrubbing her skin until it hurt. Eric woke briefly, hearing the water running. Vanessa, go back to sleep, she whispered. When she crawled into bed beside him, tears slipped silently onto the pillow. 2 days later, Eric's phone rang at dawn. He blinked at the screen. HR department. His throat tightened as he answered. Mr. Bennett, said the voice on the other end. There's been a change in your status. Management reviewed your case. You're being retained. Report back on Monday. For a second, he couldn't breathe. You mean? I still have my job. Yes, sir. Congratulations. Eric dropped the phone and grabbed Vanessa, pulling her from sleep. Baby, we made it. They kept me. We're safe. Vanessa froze, eyes wide, heart pounding in her chest. She tried to smile, but the guilt felt like acid. That's wonderful, she whispered, forcing a shaky laugh. He kissed her forehead, joy flooding his face for the first time in weeks. See? I told you things would turn around. God is good. She nodded slowly. Yes, God is good. But that night, while Eric celebrated with friends and talked about how faith always wins, Vanessa sat quietly by the window, staring into the city lights. Her stomach twisted every time she looked at him. She had saved him, but in doing so, she had lost herself. And deep down, she feared that one day, the truth would come for her. The following Friday, Eric's colleagues threw a small welcome back party at the plant's rooftop lounge. Music played, laughter filled the air, and for the first time in months, he felt like a man again. Eric, you're one lucky guy, Martin said, raising a glass. I heard Caldwell personally made sure your name was removed from the layoff list. The man must really like you. Eric chuckled. Guess hard work pays off after all. But Vanessa, standing a few feet away in her red dress, froze. Her hands shook as she sipped her drink. She could feel Caldwell's eyes on her, sharp, controlling, smug. When their gazes met, he tilted his glass slightly, a reminder of the price she'd paid. Later that night, Caldwell cornered her in the hallway. You played your part beautifully, he murmured, voice low. Don't look so scared. No one has to know. Her eyes filled with tears. Please, don't ever talk to me again. He smirked. You should be thanking me. Your husband owes me his life. Unbeknownst to them, Martin, curious about Caldwell's sudden generosity, stood near the door and heard every word. When Vanessa turned around, she caught his shocked eyes. The secret had just started to slip. By Monday morning, the factory was buzzing again, only this time, it wasn't about layoffs. It was about rumors. Martin hadn't meant to talk, but guilt and confusion had eaten at him all weekend. A few drinks later, his words had slipped to the wrong ears. Caldwell and Vanessa Bennett, whispered one worker in the locker room. That's how Eric got his job back. Another scoffed. No way. She doesn't look like the type. But gossip spreads faster than truth ever can. By lunch, even Caldwell had noticed the stares. His face tightened, but he said nothing. Eric, oblivious, joined the cafeteria line, humming to himself, proud and hopeful again. When he passed by, conversations abruptly stopped. Chairs creaked. Eyes darted away. That night at home, Eric frowned. People were acting weird today, like I walked into a joke I didn't get. Vanessa looked up from the sink, her heart sinking. Maybe they're just jealous you got reinstated. Maybe. He hesitated. But Martin's been avoiding me. You think he's okay? She forced a smile. You worry too much, honey. Yet as soon as he turned away, her hands trembled. Because she knew, once a secret starts whispering, it never stops until it screams. 3 days later, Eric got a call from Martin. His voice was shaky. Eric, we need to talk. It's about Caldwell. And Vanessa. Eric frowned. What about them? Not on the phone. Meet me at Danny's bar after work. When Eric arrived that evening, Martin sat alone in the corner, half drunk, guilt swimming in his eyes. Man, I didn't want to be the one to say this, but I heard Caldwell that night. He told Vanessa her husband's job was safe because she gave him what he wanted. Eric blinked, then laughed bitterly. You're drunk. I wish I was lying, Martin said. Ask her yourself. Eric left the bar without saying another word. He drove home in silence, gripping the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. When he entered the apartment, Vanessa was folding laundry on the couch. You're home early, she said softly. He stared at her. His wife, the woman who prayed with him, cried with him, held him through everything. Tell me, Vanessa, he said slowly. What did you do to save my job? The basket fell from her hands. Clothes scattered across the floor. Her lips trembled, tears welling up. Eric, please, don't make me say it. Say it. Eric's voice thundered through the apartment, shaking the walls. Vanessa dropped to her knees, sobbing. I didn't want it, Eric. I tried to resist. He said he would fire you. He said you'd lose everything. I couldn't watch you break. Eric stared at her as if seeing a stranger. So you slept with him? Her voice cracked. Once. Just once. For you, for us. He stepped back, his chest heaving. For me, he spat. You gave yourself to another man for me? She reached out to grab his hand, but he pulled away violently. Eric, please. I did it to protect you, to keep a roof over our heads. I couldn't bear to see you lose your job. He turned away, his face cold. You didn't save me, Vanessa. You destroyed me. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she whispered. I thought love meant sacrifice. Eric walked to the door, opened it, and said without turning, pack your things and get out. You saved my job, but you killed my soul. Vanessa's cry echoed down the hallway as he slammed the door. Outside, thunder rolled across the city, a cruel applause for a love that had just died. A week passed. The apartment was quiet, stripped of warmth. Eric went to work each day, robotic, distant. People whispered behind his back, but he didn't care anymore. His eyes were hollow, his smile gone. Vanessa had nowhere to go. She slept in a friend's basement for a few nights, then in her car. Every night, she replayed that moment. His eyes, cold and full of pain, as she begged him to understand. One evening, Eric came home to find an envelope at his door. Inside was her wedding ring, wrapped in a note. I don't expect forgiveness. I just hope one day you'll remember that I loved you more than myself. He sat on the floor, reading it over and over, tears breaking through the walls he'd built. He finally understood the depth of her fear, her desperation, but the betrayal still burned too deep. Months later, he saw her again by chance, working as a cashier in a small grocery store. She smiled faintly, thinner now, her eyes tired but kind. He nodded once. She nodded back. No words, no anger, just two broken hearts acknowledging what love had cost them. Because sometimes saving someone means losing everything, including yourself.